Welcome to Money in Motion video blog. This is Dan Perkins, and thanks for watching. It's been a while since I've done a video. Most of the time there wasn't a whole lot to say, so I did it either with an instant message or a quick email. But I do want to talk about the volatility of the last week. It's been all over the place, and a lot of people are concerned about what's happening to their portfolios and what's going to happen to the markets. First of all, let me say I've looked at all of the portfolios, and the percentage down is much less than the market, even including today's sell-off. So the defensive nature of the portfolio being diversified across many sectors with good income and good cash has lowered the volatility so that the portfolios are less volatile than the general markets. Speaking about the general markets, I expect this volatility to continue, although I think it's probably somewhat overdone and we may be very close to an interim bottom. I say interim because I'm not sure that we're going to hit a hard bottom at this time. I would expect at some point in time to see a really strong reflex rally, maybe up 1,000, 1,500 points. And then I think we'll probably come down and test this where we are now, the bottom, to see if it's firm or not. A typical correction would be between 5 and 10% in a long-standing bull market. We have come many thousands of points with no corrections whatsoever. So we were due for some kind of a correction. I do think it's somewhat overdone, but because we do have a considerable amount of cash, I'm looking for opportunities should we come down over 10%. Now, from the absolute peak this year down to the trough, the bottom where we are, we're off almost about 13%. But from the beginning of the year, we're off about 9 to 10%, which should be a bottom. I don't believe that things are in place at this time for entering into a bear market, and a bear market would be 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP, so I don't see that happening, and I expect GDP to expand. As it relates to the stock market, we could pause here and not do much the rest of the year. It all depends on how far the Fed goes in interest rates. Now, there's a lot of people talking about interest rates rising and it's going to make things more expensive. It's rising from a zero base. If the Fed actually raises interest rates 1 full percent from this level, we'd still be looking at a 90-day Treasury in the 3 to 3.25% range, which is historically low. So I think the concern about interest rates and inflation are overdone. People were perhaps looking for an opportunity to sell and take some capital gains. So I continue to watch it. We have money. When I see it's appropriate to either add to a position or put on a new position, I'll do that. The second thing I want to talk to you about is emails that many of you have sent to me from Merrill Lynch, where you're, in a word, upset. The email came from the broker who executes the transactions for me, and I don't know whether he's trying to convince you to abandon me and go with him. It is, in my opinion, unprofessional. He didn't talk to me about sending the letter in advance, so it clearly looks like he's trying to come between me and you. He did a presentation of comparing your performance, or how he calculated your performance, to the S&P 500. If we'd have been in the, totally invested, which we would never be, but if we were totally invested, his numbers, we'd have taken quite a bath this week. The thing that's important to me, because you're important to me, is that this broker doesn't know your needs. He does not have a relationship with you. He doesn't understand if you have an illness, you've lost a child or a spouse, what your needs are for income. He doesn't know any of that. And for him to make a bold statement and reach out to you without consulting me is something that it's very difficult for me to understand. So as a responsibility to you, I have to protect you from people who want to possibly bring you harm. I don't think that Peter is intentionally trying to harm your portfolio. And I don't really understand why, because he's never talked to me about what he's doing. But let me say to you this, I have already had one client that has moved with me to another brokerage firm. I am looking into the possibility of moving all of you to another firm where the commissions will be lower, the custodial will be attractive, and they don't offer a lot of research, but that's okay. I do most of my own research anywhere. And your commission costs will be dramatically reduced. So I will do a follow-up video probably in the next week to 10 days or so, once I'm able to put things in place. You might recall that I did a video last fall concerning the possibility of a Department of Labor ruling that would cause them to have to charge you an asset-based fee in order to transact business, which I told you at that time we wouldn't stand for that. We'd have to move. So I am looking out for your interest. I understand you. I have long-standing relationships with you. I know what your needs are, what your concerns are, and just saying buy the stock market is not appropriate behavior for people like my clients who have diverse wants and needs. Understand that my first priority is to take sure and make sure that you are treated fairly and honestly, and that your wishes, your concerns, your needs and fears are addressed. So that's it for now. If you have questions, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email, and I'll speak to you soon.